cube or exponent of 3 on both sides. The opposite of a cube root is to cube an expression, so those would cancel. We'll be left with c minus 1 on the left hand side, and 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, would be 8. Solving, we can add 1 to both sides, so we'll be left with c is equal to 9. And last question for the section. Radical 3x plus 6, and outside the radical plus 2, less than or equal to 5. In this question, instead of an equation, we have an inequality to solve for. First step again is to get the radical or square root by itself. So any numbers outside, we can move to the other side, in this case by subtracting 2. Radical 3x plus 6, less than or equal to 3. And again, to cancel out a square root, we can do the opposite by squaring. The square and square root would cancel, so we'll have 3x plus 6 is less than or equal to 9. Continuing to solve, we can subtract 6 on both sides. 3x is less than or equal to 3, and dividing by 3, we'll have x is less than or equal to 1. For inequalities, after you solve for the radical or square root, we can go back and solve a second inequality. That inequality would depend on the radical that we solved, which in this case is 3x plus 6. When we have inequalities, keep in mind the radical or square root has to be greater than or equal to 0, or any positive number. If we have any negative numbers, we would have imaginary numbers and have no solution for the question. So for any inequalities with radicals, the radical in this case, 3x plus 6, or the solution to 3x plus 6, must be greater than or equal to 0. Solving the second inequality, we can subtract 6. So 3x is greater than or equal to negative 6, and dividing by 3, we'll have x is greater than or equal to negative 2. So 2 answers to the question. The first answer, x is less than or equal to 1, and for the radical or square root, x also has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. You could write this as a single inequality. Negative 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 1. So the solution to the question is all the numbers including negative 2 and 1, all the numbers between negative 2 and 1. Title of the first section,